Just the way.
Good morning. Good morning, Facebook family. Happy Saturday. Good morning, advocates. Good morning, Mr. Man. And good morning, our special guest, Pastor Monte Dillard. Good morning. I am here with the fellas today.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm here with the fellas today at our Saturday morning coffee. We're excited to be here like every Saturday. This is our fourth show. We are so blessed to be able to have this platform to connect with the community. We have had some great shows. Last week, Glenn was with us with Dr. Murphy down at Yo Fresh. I hope you were intentional this week in promoting Black business. I know I was. I spent a little change, but we have to be intentional, and we had to do that. So that was 15th, and we were celebrating Black business, but we didn't forget it was Father's Day weekend. And we wanted to make sure we took time to uplift Black fathers. So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to even go off camera. I'm going to let the fellas in. And we want to talk about the challenges, the complexities, and the contradictions of being a Black father. I'm going to let Pastor Dillard, because Pastor Dillard joined us on the road. So we love him. He is our trainer. He's our leader. He always answers when we call. So I really appreciate you, Pastor Dillard. And I want to give you some time to talk about the march last week and really kind of pose a question to our advocates about being Black fathers. It's a tough time. So I'm going to let the fellas have it. I'm coming off camera and join us. You guys call a Black father, take some notes. This is going to be a great conversation.
Well, good morning. So good to be on. Thank you, Kim, and to the advocates. It's always a great time to be with you all. I very rarely, if have ever, kind of Zoom while driving. I have an appointment. I have to be at by 11, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity. So I thought I'd come in and give you guys at least a good part of my attention. The rest I'll keep on the road. But on last Sunday, Evanston Own It, which is an organization comprised of African-American clergy that serve predominantly the 5th and some parts of the 2nd Ward, along with some other leaders from our community. We have Alderman Dolores Holmes, who's a part of that group, and several other representatives from the city and even Evanston Police. I had talked to them about us having an opportunity to lead what we call the Father's Day Prayer March, which was certainly the beginning, I'd like to say the beginning of our response to racial and injustices and unrest that have, another Band-Aid of sort that has been snatched off. And seeing that this feels like a really, really important moment in history where we are kind of forging ahead and able to make significant progress, we, the Black church, the Black Christian church, thought it was imperative that there be an opportunity in our city for our voices to be heard, and really primarily to have an opportunity to encourage Black men of all ages, the African-American community. And so that was our goal. We met in front of First Church last Sunday at 2:00. And our agenda was to pray topically. We had 3 pastors from the area. Pastor Carl A. Dare from New Beginnings prayed for the family man. We had Pastor Joseph Roberts of St. Peter's Fire Baptized Holiness. He prayed for the businessman. We're praying that Black men would have economic opportunities, doors open. We're praying that for recompense, that's a major biblical tenet, recompense, or to be recompensated for things that should have been yours. And then lastly, Pastor Cherry of Christ Temple prayed for the spiritual man. Ultimately, as Christians, we believe that what we're dealing with are spiritual matters that manifest naturally. And so we pray about the spiritual component of Black men. And we said, give the Black church another chance. I think that's a whole nother conversation. but that was one of the things that we said. And so after that, we walked from First Church and we ended at Friendship. Our route was intentional to walk past as many of the Black churches as possible. And so we were able to do that in honor of many of them. And then we ended at Butler Park with communion. So it was a beautiful time. A big part of it was we wanted to have a message both verbally and visually. And so, of course, we had our verbal message of hope. We told them, when you wake up tomorrow after this march, the world will not have changed all of a sudden. But what we want to do is encourage you and let you know that we can make it through this. That was our purpose. But the other part was the visual. We asked as many who would to put on suits and ties, or at least a blazer of some sort. And the optics of it was just phenomenal. So it was truly a great opportunity. But we called it a beginning. Certainly, we have already debriefed this week and are talking about setting some dates for some more things that look like that, and have heard great feedback from the community as well. So thankful to have had that opportunity. It was a blessing. It really was.
And you know what? I got to, from the car, watch the men march, and it was a beautiful thing. And we really want to take this time to uplift men, and especially men in our community. It's a hard time to be a Black man, and to be a father on top of that, has to even compile some more stuff. So before we let you go, because we want you to keep your eyes on the road, just what would you do to take to encourage, and then you can pose the question again in Roman, Black men, and what do you advise?
One of the things that I think that we really should own more, and again, I think that was a big part of why we did the march. And again, you other brother maybe can kind of speak to this, is I am urging us to be more assertive in narrative management. And what I mean by that is that for decades, for most of us, all our lives, we've been challenged to be able to be in control of our own narrative, of exactly us defining ourselves. Us having the ability to say what we are and what we are not. And more than ever, I am in a place where redirecting, whether it's in individual interaction on large settings where I have an opportunity to speak, is the opportunity to redirect what people have tried to create the narratives about. I'll give you an example. One of the things that friends and I were talking about this week, and you guys may have seen, is this narrative Black on Black crime. And you never hear that about any other ethnic group, when in fact, most ethnic groups, crimes are committed against them by their own ethnic group, because it's a matter of proximity. If a lot of whites live by a lot of whites, then the issues are going to be white on white. Matter of fact, white on white crime is like 85% of white people who are harmed by another white person. So we don't say white on white crime, right? So that type of narrative, I actually corrected someone recently, that we're no longer going to allow those things. They may be said, but I think we've become more assertive in redirecting. I'm a 6 feet 8 inch Black man who has no history of violence, none. But when a person sees me, oftentimes a person of another race sees me, and the first thing they say is, "Oh, don't hurt me." and I say, that is offensive, and I would appreciate if you did not associate me with violence just because I'm being Black. I have no history of violence. So I work really hard to be nice, to love people. I do not want you to see me and the first thing you think is that I can hurt you. So I don't know if that's, a point for others, but I'm at a place where controlling my narrative or managing it for myself and for Blacks in general as much as I can. I will make a Black people point in a minute, just because I think for so many years we have lost the ability or the assertion to just control our own narrative. The scripture that comes to mind is, "Let not your good be evil spoken of." And that verb "let" tells me that I have some control in that. So that's one thing that I think can be really helpful, brothers.
Well, we appreciate it, and that's a really big deal. Control our own narrative. Stop letting everyone else tell our story, and that's what we're here to do.
That's it.
That's part of these community coffees. We're going to tell our own stories. We appreciate you as always. Be safe, traveling graces, and we're going to go ahead and let Glenn and Roman keep this conversation going.
Is it okay if I just kind of peek in on it a little bit?
We'd love it. Please don't leave us. Yeah, we'd love it.
Yeah, no, I'm on the highway and it's pretty clear right now, and I'm not going fast. So I'd like to hear more. I got a few minutes before I get there.
We'd love it too. Okay, go ahead, Glenn. Roman, take it on.
Well, you know, I look at this and I noticed you said some of the challenges as a Black parent, where the providers were the protectors and the disciplinarian of our children. But I battle every day. You know, I have a daughter. We're mixed race, and my daughter's half Black, half Asian. And I had to have this conversation with her on racism and things before this march ever happened, before COVID-19. You know, we had an incident where she was called a fat Chinese N-word, third week of school. Wow. And that was from another Black child. And instead of reaching out in hate, you know, my daughter should have fought back because the kid hit her in the mouth and busted her lip. So now it's physical. And the school tried to sweep it under the rug and relax it. Now, I know that if they didn't know that I was Black, or maybe thought I was white or Asian, that would have been met with a different type of address and punishment toward that other child. So when things happen to us in the school, it changes the whole narrative on how a Black parent looks at things.
Glenn, I'm glad you brought that up. Being a parent, and especially in the education, I don't think fathers always get a fair shot. And so I'm going to call you mother. We see it at the school, so we don't always get to see fathers being able to assert themselves and being part of their child's educational experience. Roman, tell us. So, Glenn, you have a daughter. Roman, let's tell us about your kids.
You have to unmute, Roman.
You're muted.
Unmute, Roman. Tell us about your kids. Roman might be frozen. All right, well, we're going to keep going while Roman unmutes, and I'm going to text him. But no, those are some of the challenges and the complexities. And
you know,
talk about the mixed race piece of it, because that's a whole nother, complexity when you show up and they're expecting someone else. So, I can understand that being,
as a Black man and a parent, we feel the full brunt of systematic discrimination when it comes to education. When you register your child for school, to get them in clubs or whatever, they always ask for the mother. I've had to check people like, well, we need to talk to the mother. And we feel that we're intentionally left out as competent parents. A lot of Black fathers I talk with, they feel that they're uneasy when they talk to people in any type of educational system, and they're made to feel like their child, their gift, was something that was unplanned to the extent to where they couldn't handle it as a parent. So they walk in the door with a overhead of feeling, well, I'm not competent. And they make it to look like that. And it's disheartening. It's really disheartening.
Yeah, it is. And we kind of lost Roman, but about Black fathers today, for those of you guys who are just joining us, really important. We're talking to some Black fathers. Many of us have raised or are raising Black fathers. We have to know that we're raising Black fathers. And not only are the little boys watching and we're raising, the Black fathers, but our girls are watching too. I had a great father. My father really was my role model. He, always gave me the confidence and security that I needed, and didn't even know that's what was happening. But I attribute that in my life and to who I am, as far as being confident and being really comfortable in my own skin and who I am. So our kids are watching us. So fathers play a huge role. And mom, we know we're raising fathers too. So we want to raise some good dads. Roman, are you frozen or are you back with us? You back? Tell us about your kids, Roman, and tell us about being a Black father and what that's like for you.
All right. You can hear me? Everything's clear?
Yes.
Well, I started out as a young father in high school, and I would say pretty difficult for someone that young. But however, coming from where I come from, my mother and father, they were married, but ended up divorcing, and not really having that pull from my father made me to be a stronger and better father than what I was receiving or what I have received from him. So it pushed me just to do more and more and to teach what I wasn't taught. And as far as my two little ones, I am working with them every day. In school, the house schooling has been pretty good. And actually, I've always said that I want to do that. So that's been pretty cool where I've been able to work with them personally and be able to teach them different things that are not taught in the school, but be able to give them a little bit more structure at home, but also will give them more structure outside of home. So I mean, being a young father is a struggle, but I say with having God also in my life, that also helps me push harder with them as well. If that answers your question.
It does. And I think I want to ask all the fellas in the Zoom room today, you too, Mr. Man, what is the most challenging thing about being a Black father? So not just a father, but being a Black father. What's the most challenging thing about that?
Can I hit on it? Oh. Mm-hmm. I would say the survival of surviving, being that provider, and in these times, and teaching them the foundational things, that how I grew up instead of how they're growing up now, which is a little different, So I say those are the pretty much the struggles, that sometimes that financial piece.
Yeah, the economic thing is a real thing. Yeah. Being transparent with that.
If I could interject too, I think one of the things, and Glenn alluded to this, is I think you have, as Black fathers, we have to go somewhere in our minds as it pertains to advocacy. And what I mean by go somewhere in your mind is, I remember many years ago, our oldest will be 18 next month. I remember I got to a point where I did not care if I had to make others uncomfortable to push for something that was going to benefit my child, you know. And sometimes you have to it's a matter of like priority, you know, and I know for me it was psychological. Once I got that in my mind that I am willing to make a teacher uncomfortable, a principal, it doesn't matter if my child needs something, that advocate in me really makes anybody else's comfort secondary. and I'm going to press in doing that. And I made a statement recently about how the discomfort I can feel from teachers when I go to the parent-teacher conference with my wife. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's the strangest thing, particularly just as a Black father being there, because there's not a lot of times there are not a lot of things that are done to make you feel comfortable for being there. So expecting to feel comfort from the other side, I'm not looking for. And to provide comfort to them, I'm not necessarily looking for. Mm-hmm. I have a righteous indignation in me that says the benefit of my child is my one and only goal here. And if you feel uncomfortable in me achieving that, that is not a priority for me. And in my sermon last week for Father's Day, I spoke about Amram, a man named Amram. And most people never heard of him. Amram was Moses' father. And everybody talk about how great Moses was. Well, Moses was almost killed at birth. But the scripture says his father and his mother hid him for 3 months. And without Amram, Moses' father, going against what Pharaoh wanted, Moses is lost. And so Amram said, I don't care what Pharaoh wants to do to my child, he will not be able to, because there's greatness in my child, and I'm going to make sure it comes out. And so, we got to be Amram. We got to say, hey, I don't care what you all are saying. Here is what's going to happen. And you know what? That righteous indignation has to be enough. I know that helped me as a Black father. And, I'm a pastor, so I'm always concerned about providing comfort to people. That's a shepherd thing. But when it comes to my kids, I move that down the priority list.
Yeah. And now is the time. I mean, it's always been the time, but we're at a moment in time now. Well, being assertive and being intentional is what we have to do. Roman, I'm going to ask you to mute. I think we're getting some feedback from you. Mr. Man, we're going to ask you, what's your biggest challenge? I saw some of your kids posted on Facebook for Father's Day. What's your biggest challenge being a Black father?
All right, people are just gonna be able to hear my voice, but I took myself off the video because I want the focus to be on Evanston Cradle to Career. Well, I guess what it is from my point of view is coming from a different culture to come to America. I'm from Haiti, so in Haiti, your father didn't have to do a whole lot, for you to get the message. He could just look at you, and you know exactly what he wants to tell you. But coming here, it's a little challenging because the kids, they tend to get, influenced by their friends or other people, and then also here, they'll tell you, I'm gonna call the cops on you. So basically, you really have to be careful on how you raise your kids here, and then now with everything as far as racism, because me personally, I've never knew about racism until I get to Chicago, because in Haiti, if somebody is gonna try to be a racist, we're just gonna kick your butt. There's no that's it. That's it.
And Mr. Man, you can always turn on your camera. We're all together, so the focus just is not on us, it's on you too. We appreciate you, Mr. Man. I want to say we have a lot of folks joining us today. My radio sister, I got my cup, Lisa, for Community Coffee. Lisa's with us from Lift Your Life. My friend Gay is with us. William Easton is with us. Thanks for joining us. I see some of my old co-workers. I see Josh is with us. Alderman Andy actually was with us last week, but everybody had their cameras off. So, and Alderman Rady, we got to have you back on with us. We didn't even know you were there. but we appreciate you guys joining us this morning. So thank you so much. Before we get off the air, this half hour goes really, really quick. I do want to pose one more round robin questions to the fathers, and people can make comments in the comments. We talked about how
before you do that right quick, Cam,
yeah.
I just want to say I want to give a quick shout out to a lot of the mothers out there where the fathers are absent. We have to give them the respect because they're playing that role of father and mother.
I agree.
And they have double duty. So as Black fathers, you know, we sometimes have to step outside our comfort zone and help them mentor their children when we see rough spots that we know, because we can speak from experience. Sometimes, you know, as I was told, you have to get down on your knees to help another man to his feet, whether that's in prayer or in strength. You know, that's something as Black fathers we have to do. So I just want to kind of put that in there.
No, that's really important. And we talked about, you know, we're raising Black fathers. These sons are going to be fathers one day. So we definitely want to point that out. And we also want to say what you were saying is men, we sometimes have to step outside of our families and know we need to uplift another child and roll, you know, and be a mentor for another child and support and be, because as mothers, as great as we are not men, you know, and so there's some things that we won't be able to do. So the community, I think we have to be responsible for each other and uplift each other. I don't want to go too much over in time. I hope I have time do I have time for one more question, Mr. Mann, or are we done?
Oh, no, you do. You do have time, Cam.
Okay, perfect. So we said
I'm going to sign off, guys. I'm sorry. Thanks so much for this time. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Be safe. All right, advocates. So before we go, Glenn and Roman, we did talk about the challenges, and I think the complexities. I think we hit on that. But really quick, just tell me about the contradictions. So when I put contradictions in, I was talking about, and Pastor Dillard even said, you know, he's this big man, but he's a very gentle, loving soul. So the contradiction is how people see you. So to how people see you, to how you really are. Have you come across that? Is that a challenge for you? Is that part of being a father? What people expect and what you kind of get?
Well, you know, being a Black man in general, and a Black parent, a Black father, like I said earlier, you're given the stigma of that you're underachiever, that you didn't plan properly to have children, that you don't really know how to raise children or govern yourself. And my Black is beautiful. You know, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. And people of color are beautiful. Everybody has their own beauty, and you have to respect it. And I fight that not just for myself, but I have to defend my child too. And when you destroy a person's history, you destroy their identity. So I have to constantly help my child identify with the truth of how things are. And the truth is painful. The truth is ugly, but the truth is also beautiful because it stands on its own. And we can't make excuses. We can't give people reasons because we fight and we face all the negative that you can ever imagine of not including us as humans or as parents. So we have to be extra careful and show our responsibility and our love for our children, and let our children reflect our wisdom.
I love that. And we're going to take away those stigmas. and that deadbeat dad and all that. And we are going to speak our truth, good, the bad, and the ugly. But the truth is necessary. We have to start telling the truth, and that comes with history. And there's a lot of stuff going on right now. It's time to ride this wave and really take our culture to the next level and stop letting everybody else run the narrative in our story. Roman, before we get off the air, you want to speak to that really quick?
I think my brother hit every single bit of it right there. Not at all.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you guys. I think you guys are wonderful fathers, wonderful Black men. You know I love you. You're great advocates. You are a part of who we are. This is just a really great show. Everybody out there, share this video. We have some wonderful Black fathers in our community. I am excited that Pastor Dillard and Evanston Own It are looking for opportunities for Black fathers and Black men to come together and be in community. Sisters, we're going to uplift these Black men and support these Black men so we can take these next generations to the next level and as far as we can go. We will be here next Saturday, as every Saturday all summer, with our community coffee. We are not celebrating the 4th. The 4th is canceled. And if it's not, it ought to be for you guys. We are not celebrating Independence Day. We will be here talking about racial inequity, what we can do, how we can push ourselves forward. We will continue to do that. We will continue to support our community and each other. Until next week, be safe, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Right.
Great show, Cam.
Thanks, Mr. Man.
No problem. Great show, and I'm very glad to be part of it. Thank you.
We're glad to have you.
All right.
State of the world right now. Not all of we're dealing with all this.
Listening to Evanston Cradle to Career Advocates for Action. Please tune in next Saturday for another show.